Welcome back to another episode of Story Time with DJ. This episode is going to be a good one. This episode is specifically for people who are going through change and who are fearing going through change, or maybe you have something that's coming up that's going to be different, or something that you know is going to be out of the norm of what you're used to. I think this story is going to really help you make whatever decision it is that you need to make. So this is something that literally, as I was making the video, I was making it about one other thing, like a different whole other topic. But then this popped into my mind, and I said, let's go with that because that seems like it's more relevant. And the story that it made me think of change, and because something that really was in my mind was it could be very uncomfortable to do things that we've never done before, things that are new, things that we may have all these thoughts about, but because we haven't actually experienced the thing, it seems so much bigger than maybe it really is. And I remember I was on live, and the story that came to my mind was when I was in first grade. And it's actually kind of funny. So when I was in first grade, up to this point, since kindergarten to first grade, my older sister, would walk me to breakfast every morning, without a doubt. Like that's just what it was. We would get off the bus, and she would take me to breakfast, and I got really used to that. Like I loved that. I thought it was such a nice thing, and I was like, well, I'm hungry, Jasmine, let's go get breakfast. And that's what we would do. Until one day. Until one morning. I don't even know what happened. But Jasmine decided to walk. Actually, I think I do remember what happened. I think the bus may have been late or something. So we only had a small amount of time to get to class. But once we got off the bus, I was like, Jasmine, can we just run and get breakfast real quick? And Jasmine just kept walking to her class. And I remember I was like watching her go, and I was heartbroken because I wanted to get breakfast. So I ended up going to my class, and I was crying in my class, and my teacher saw me crying. I remember her name. Her name was Miss McCoy. She saw me crying, and she was like, DJ, what are you crying for, DJ? And I was like, I wanted to go to breakfast, but my sister wouldn't take me. She went to class, and I'm really hungry. and my teacher, the kindest thing she did, she was super, super kind. She actually ended up taking me to breakfast. And I still remember to this day what it was. It was like eggs and grits and maybe a biscuit. I'm not sure if it was a biscuit or maybe, no, it was toast. It was toast. But anyways, so she took me to breakfast, and I got to eat really, really quick because, bell was about to ring. And on my way back to class, my teacher's walking me back to class from breakfast. She turns to me and says, DJ, I want you to know that this is not going to be an everyday thing. This was a one-time thing. So if you want to go to breakfast from now on, you're going to have to take yourself. And as small as that moment may be, it keeps on coming back into my mind anytime I do something new. Because why would we wait for someone to take us somewhere, or wait for someone to do the thing that we want to do? Because maybe they don't want to do it, or maybe they have something else. Like my sister, she had to go to class. My sister's not a bad person because she didn't take me to breakfast, even though at the time I may have thought that. No, it was she wanted to get to class, and she had her own responsibilities that she had to take care of, and she knew that her class was more important than me missing breakfast for one day, even though that was like the world for me. But the case in point being is the breakfast was important to me, not to her. So it only makes sense that if it's important to me, that I go after it myself. And ever since that day, I would get breakfast by myself. And a funny thing actually happened. There were actually some times where Jasmine, my sister, wanted to come to breakfast with me after that because I would just go by myself. And it opened up a whole new world for me. And anytime I get scared or I feel scared about some kind of big change that's coming, that's a story that I think I'm gonna keep recalling back to my mind, because I don't know why going to breakfast by myself seemed so scary. It was literally like right down the hall from my class, first and foremost. But it just seemed like it was so scary because I was like, well, there's second and third and fourth and fifth graders. They're so much bigger. I don't want to run into them. And like I was giving myself all these reasons why not to go, like all these scary ghosts and all these imaginary things that is was really nothing at the end of the day. Like none of those things ended up stopping me the day after, the days that I started going. I would see the fifth graders. I would see the fourth graders. They wouldn't care. They didn't care that I was walking by myself. They didn't mess with me or whatever. I don't even know what thoughts I was having as to the stories I was telling myself for why I can't go to breakfast. But I just think that the theme is the same. It's I think once we start to really look at what it is that we're running away from, or what it is that we're scared to change, or this new thing that we're trying to do, if we really sit there and look at it, and if we're constantly using excuse, well, my friend won't do it with me, or my mom won't do it with me, or well, I would have done it if it wasn't for this person, which actually makes me think of another story of, I have a friend named Kim. She's a terrific actress. I'm talking about, she's just incredible, passionate, driven. She actually had a friend. I know she's not going to care about me telling her this story. I may bleep out her name actually, because maybe she don't want me to tell it. But anyways, she had a friend. She was up in New York, and they got an Airbnb together because they were going to this acting studio. That's the reason why they were in New York, because they wanted to go to an acting studio that was prominently in New York, and both of them are from different locations. I think one was from like Chicago, and my friend being from Canada. And they ended up having a disagreement to where they no longer wanted to room together. Well, my friend no longer wanted to room with her roommate. And her roommate literally used that as a reason to leave New York. She said, and blamed my friend. She said, you're the reason why I'm not going to be able to have the acting career that I want to have, because you're making this uncomfortable for me, because you don't want a room, so you're ruining my dream. As opposed to just getting another roommate, which my friend did. My friend got another roommate and ended up having fantastic roommates who she loves. By the way, I actually just spent some time with her literally a couple days ago. But she was blaming my friend for the inconvenience that she was having to deal with, and rather than face that inconvenience, she went back home. And I have so much empathy for that person, because I feel like we've all been there in some aspect, maybe not to that extreme, but to where maybe we wanted to do something, and an obstacle came up, and we ended up blaming that obstacle for why we didn't get the thing that we wanted to get, or do the thing that we wanted to do, as opposed to not giving up and facing that obstacle, and maybe changing course to get around that obstacle, to get back on track to where it is that we're trying to go. And I think that's life. There's going to be so many obstacles everywhere we go. Like whatever it is that we're going to pursue, whether we pursue something or we don't pursue something, there's going to be obstacles in our way. And we can either lie down, like when we face something that's difficult or different or challenging, we can lie down and call it quits and say, well, at least I tried. But even though I feel like we didn't really try if we give up that easy, especially on the first couple obstacles. Or we can go through the obstacle and learn from it and find a different way. Mess up, try something different, and repeat that, And this is just something that I'm learning with life. It's definitely not something I have locked down, something I'm not have perfect, but it's definitely something that I'm finding to be, a thing. Like I'll say one last thing about it. Just a small, like, it's these small little things, right? We can learn from every single experience. But I was up in New York, literally, like I said, for a couple days. I just got back yesterday, actually, and I never used the subway before. I've never used their public transportation system, and I was down there by myself, and I was trying to navigate where it was that I was going. And on the first day, it was either the first day or the second day, I got on the right train, but it was going in the wrong direction because they had two lines to go underground. This one was going this way, and this one was going that way. And I ended up going on this one because I was like, well, this is the one I got off at, so this is the one I know. And I got on, and then I realized, oh, this is actually going the wrong way. So I almost ended up being late for the event that I was going to. But the reason I say that is because the next morning, I almost did the same exact thing. Because I was just on autopilot mode, just walking, and I was like, all right, I need to get to this event. And as soon as I walked down the steps, I think I even may have walked down the steps and actually paid to get in for the little turnstile thing. And I was like, oh, damn, this is the wrong way. End up coming back out, going across the street, walking down that one, and paying for that one to get in. And that was a lesson learned because after the third day, I didn't do that shit anymore. It took 2 days for me to get it right. But as long as you're learning from the mistakes, that's what's most important than not making the mistakes at all. Or me just, could you imagine if I said, well, dang it, I guess I better just stay on this train that's going the wrong direction. Or, man, I keep making this mistake, man. I'm just not riding the train anymore or the subway anymore. Or I'm going to stay home because I keep making the same mistake, as opposed to learning from it and adjusting. Could you imagine what kind of life that would be? So I think I'm going to wrap it up with that, just because I think that at the end of the day, the change that we need to make, the change that we want to make, is always going to be out there for us. And there's always going to be obstacles. And whether we have to go at it alone, and whether we have to face these difficult challenges, for one, I think it's worth it. And for two, I think that who we grow into as a person is really what is one of the reasons why it's worth it. It's because who we become is so much more than where we were. And I think that's one of the reasons why we want to change, right? We want to upgrade who we are and where we are at in life, like our lifestyle and our skills and our relationships. So I personally think that it's always worth it, and this is just what I'm finding. Obviously, everyone's gonna have a different answer, but I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and see you guys next episode.